Are you struggling to express exactly what you mean in English?
Every day.
We've got a synonym exercise for you to help you speak a bit more clearly.
Let's do it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to My Girlfriend's English. We've talked several times about shifting gears on this channel from beginner strategies to more advanced strategies, and that's what this video is going to dive a little more deeper into, specifically with regards to how do you express yourself. Like, if you have an idea and you want to be able to express that clearly, and sometimes you say the thing that you think is the right thing to say, and it comes across that people don't very clearly understand you, part of it has to do with synonyms, and we've talked about that in other videos, but in this video, we're actually going to give you a couple of exercises that you can do today in order to kind of deepen those synonyms, not just saying you should learn those synonyms.
So this is all based on our premise of shifting strategies, right? We talk a lot about that on this channel. Basically, you cannot learn words like you did at the beginner level or the intermediate level if you're an advanced student dealing with advanced terms. As you look at the words that you do know at the intermediate level, one way for you to step into getting into more advanced terms is to tie them back to their intermediate roots. Okay, so intermediate words, you want to focus on expanding those and making them a bit more specific, because as you go up in word difficulty, that's really what you're doing, is you're making them more nuanced, more specific to specific contexts. That's part of shifting gears. Going around and labeling everything in your house worked as a beginner. Learning things by jumping up and moving around worked as a beginner, but honestly, the odds of that working very well in the advanced levels is not high. You've got to shift your strategy. You've got to change what you do. Going through and memorizing lists of words is not as effective in the advanced levels, because right now at the advanced level, you're focusing on using those words and actually being able to express yourself with those words, adding them to your active vocabulary. And if you're still memorizing lists of words, you're not exactly doing that.
So if you're wanting to kind of level up the words that you already have in your vocabulary, if you're wanting to kind of have a deeper understanding and be able to communicate yourself clearly, you need to do a few things. Number one is choose advanced words by context, not from a list. That list approach will not help you because, frankly, you just won't have enough memory hooks in order to understand and remember this complex advanced vocabulary word. Number two, make sure that you're learning synonyms by degrees. So don't just make sure that you learn dog means this, canine means dog. I know a different way to say dog now, but try to understand the nuances between these two words, whether one is more formal, one is more intense, one is less intense, one's bigger, one's faster, one's more beautiful, one's more ugly. That's a good feeling, a bad feeling. Try to figure out what distinguishes these synonyms. Just because we use the word synonym doesn't mean they mean exactly the same thing. Number three is try to learn some body language or facial expressions associated with those advanced words, because they will actually help you try to remember them and connect them back, right? So if it's a bad word, you probably would want to scrunch your face up a little bit so that you're not trying to say a good word with a scrunched up face or a bad word with a happy face. That would be very awkward, but it also helps you to remember those advanced terms and to be able to communicate the feeling as you learn these advanced words.
All right, so here's a couple of exercises to help you expand. For example, let's say you watch this YouTube video about reducing stress in your life. Okay, now you have a term, reduce and stress, and you know those words. But one of the things that's just awesome about English is we don't like sounding repetitive necessarily. And so the odds are, if we're going to make a published piece of content, we're going to vary our word choices by using synonyms. So this is a great way. Watching a video that's very focused on one particular topic or one particular term is a very great way to expand your synonym knowledge. So you would take this video and you would write down all the terms that they seem to use in place of stress or in place of reduce. For example, for stress, they might say words like anxiety, they might say chaos, pressure, they might say being mentally drained or being physically drained or being emotionally drained. They may say something like overwhelm or distress or toxic stress. They might say emotional strain. All of those are different things, right? Those are different words, but it's being used in the same context interchangeably with stress. And of course, English speakers know that those things are different. What they're doing is using those terms to emphasize a facet of stress. What's important for you is that And a native English speaker in a video has tied those terms to the word stress that you more than likely wouldn't have tied together otherwise. Let's take reduce. You may find words like alleviate and ease and take the edge off, dull or diminish. All of those terms are great synonyms for this, but they're not exact synonyms. Again, they're not exact. So by watching this one video and writing down these terms that seem to be used kind of interchangeably, not quite interchangeably, but they are used in this context to stress specific facets of the same topic, you're getting some synonyms, and you're getting some loose synonyms as well, which is very, very helpful for expanding your knowledge of how you can explain or talk about that one topic.
Another way you can learn to express yourself more clearly through synonyms is talking with a native English speaker about a scale that you can use to kind of organize these words. So whether it's from most intense feeling to least intense feeling, or from very emotional to not very emotional, from stoic to dramatic, what you want to do is you want to figure out what is the continuum, what is the scale of all of these synonyms. For example, let's take the word argument. What you can do is you can try to order these synonyms from less intense to more intense. For example, the continuum might look something like discussion, disagreement, squabble, spat, quarrel, dispute, argument, heated debate, altercation, clash, fight even. So once you get this kind of continuum in mind, then you can kind of figure out to what degree these people are arguing, or what degree is this argument. It's not just they had a disagreement. It's that it was a full-on fight, and it was big and nasty, and there was name-calling. If you can figure that out, then you can figure out what's the most appropriate word to use to express yourself clearly when you're in those contexts.
So the next step, once you have this continuum, is you need to write some sentences down where you are using those words appropriately. And then you need to get a way where you watch yourself in a mirror, or you get yourself recorded, which is even better. Record yourself saying these things. Choose one and just talk about it, whether it's a memory, whether it's just a circumstance, something you just observed, or something that you're just imagining. But what you want to do is I want you to sit there and try to explain in as much detail as possible a mental picture of what's happening with that word. Okay, so you could say, yeah, I was driving down the road and my kids entered a squabble in the back, and they were just going on and on and on about something that didn't matter at all. They were squabbling and it was annoying, and I just tuned them out. Okay, but the point is you've created a strong mental picture to attach to that word. So you are more likely able to use it in that context in the future, but you'll also be able to use it in more similar contexts in the future because you have sat there and watched yourself using that term, and you've created that mental picture and described it with that term. This is incredibly important. But as you focus on that one continuum for expanding that one word, you are going to be coming across so many ways to use that word, and you're going to be able to express yourself more accurately. Not every disagreement is an argument. Not every fight is an argument, right? Not every debate is simply an argument. Argument is kind of a flat word. It's a neutral term. So what does that mean exactly? You can spice that up, you can spread that out, you can express that more completely with these synonyms.
A word of caution here, though, is don't learn every synonym for every word. We do think that it's better for, generally speaking, for our minds to be blended to where one word ties it to several different places. But if you're talking about learning 10 synonyms for every single word, no, we do not agree with that, because then that will be very complicated for you to think, what kind of argument are we having right now? Are we having a squabble, a spat, a quarrel, a whatever? That's not exactly what we mean. When we say learn the synonyms, we're not saying learn every synonym that's mentioned in a thesaurus. Odds are we don't use all of them anyway. It's just trying to distinguish some synonyms from each other, so in different contexts or to different degrees, you can use the proper word to express yourself more clearly.
Here's a helpful hint. We have a video that can help you get started on this. We have an advanced English vocabulary study guide video and how to use it, and we'll link that here in the description. But in that video, we give you a free printable guide that you can use to guide yourself and to focus on 5 words. 5 new words, and then you can focus on their synonyms. So you're not just learning 5, okay? But focusing on 5 words and creating a scale for their synonyms actually takes a lot of time. And so some of our students actually spend 2 or 3 weeks just going through 1 week of this guide. So take that guide, go ahead and watch that video so you can see how to use it, download the guide and put it to use. It's really, really helpful to just have a written record to sort these terms.
And we can't overstate the benefit of actually working with a native English speaker. Like, you cannot replace that kind of information because not every synonym fits perfectly for each other. They do differentiate themselves, and it is important for you to be able to differentiate them. It's not a one-to-one kind of comparison. It's an overlap of several meanings. To get the feeling of those ranges of meanings and those contexts and the degrees which a word has, you have to talk to a native speaker. But also, number two, and it kind of goes along with that, is that they're not interchangeable. You cannot just take the word canine and replace it with the word dog. You would think that because they're synonyms, you can always do that, but they are not the same puzzle piece that you can just put in the different place. And because these are synonyms, just try to keep it down to 5 or 8 synonyms when you're trying to make this kind of order, because sometimes there are so many words, so many synonyms for one idea. So try to narrow it down to just kind of 5 or 8 big ones that you can then differentiate from each other.
All right, if you don't have a native English speaker tutor or friend around you where you can get these ideas for these synonym scales, you can go to somewhere like Upwork or Wyzant to find one. We also do private tutoring, but we also do group classes with content like this in our course membership program, Fluency Fast Track. You can find that at the link below and sign up for more details on that.
And we really hope and we really encourage you guys to just try to be on the lookout for these synonyms. Dig down, dig deep to try to see if you can be able to find better ways to express yourself more clearly.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.